Hello again, and thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. We've had a busy week this past week at Wheel and Anchor. All of a sudden, there's been a tremendous resurgence of bookings of interest in traveling to some of our exciting destinations for next year. So it's been keeping us all very much on our toes. In particular, we had this past Thursday our webinar on our newest LiveAway destination, Tuscany, Italy. It was attended by just about 100 people, and the interest in this place is huge. We kind of knew that all along because many of you have told us that you loved your experiences in the past in Tuscany, or for many other people, it's been a destination that you've already dreamed of visiting. So it was no surprise that we got such a huge turnout, and together with my good friend and colleague Francesco from Cortona, Italy, we were able to deliver a great webinar. And if you missed it, you can get a copy of the webinar replay by clicking on the link in the blog below. But I just wanted to touch on a few questions because, again, I know that a lot of you are interested in Tuscany or interested in this program. And a couple of people asked, our LiveAway programs on average are a month in duration, and it's no different for Tuscany, except that we divided it into two parts. The first part being 2 weeks in Florence, the second part being 2 weeks in Cortona, in a beautiful hilltop town in the southeastern corner of the province. And a number of people asked if, in fact, you could do them separately. And yes, that is very much the case. So you don't need to do both Florence and Cortona. You can, of course, you can do one or the other. You can either spend 2 weeks in Florence if you've perhaps already been to Tuscany before already and visited some of these lovely hilltop towns. Or, of course, you can just do the 2 weeks in Cortona and join us if you're traveling otherwise on other travels around Europe or just coming in from Canada. And then, of course, you can extend on from there. So, you know, we like to keep things flexible. We like to make the travel experience with us such that it fulfills all of your dreams and desires. And so we're very happy to facilitate it. And the pricing that you'll see in our brochure is divided up between the two segments. So it's quite easy to choose one or the other. Of course, a number of people asked as well about COVID. And of course, last year, Italy was at the top of the headlines because it was one of the hot spots of the COVID outbreak. But I'm pleased to say that they have very much gotten it under control. The case counts reached the lowest levels since the middle part of last year, since almost a year over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, although there is some concern because there's some cases are rising in parts of Europe due to this new Delta variant, generally speaking, the Italians have been very compliant with vaccinations. Roughly 60% of the country has already received their first dose, and about 35% have gotten their second dose, and they're well on their way to the targets that have been set out to try to achieve that herd immunity level. So I'm pretty confident that by next spring we'll be in a good place, and that Italy will be one of the safer places to travel to. And finally, I mentioned in the webinar that we're already planning our second trip to Tuscany because, of course, many of you have already made plans for traveling next spring, some of them with us even, and you're keen to experience this trip. So we will be going in October. The tentative dates for Tuscany in October 22 will be October 1 to the 29th. So it'll be basically the same program, 2 weeks Florence, 2 weeks Cortona. And so although that won't be up on our website for probably a few weeks' time, if you're interested in that, by all means, drop me an email or send a note over to Paula, and we will make sure that we count you among the first to know when that fall date comes out. This coming week, I'll be excited to relaunch our Canal Jimmy D program, and we've had a lot of interest for this program. We had to, of course, postpone it from this year until next. We had a number of people signed up for it, and I expect that the interest is still there, certainly based on the number of inquiries. The Canal Jimmy D, just so you know, is a waterway that was built back around 100 years ago to connect the Atlantic Ocean with the Mediterranean. Mediterranean through the countryside in the Languedoc-Roussillon region of southwestern France. It's really one of those epic trips. We're going to be doing it in houseboats, so it's a very quaint way to travel, stopping in all these little villages that are very rural, very French, very friendly, and offer a glimpse into what rural life in France is all about from the comfort of a boat. We go so slowly that you can ride along beside on a bicycle. So if you'd like to find out more about that trip, that's coming up, the webinar this coming Thursday, the 15th of July at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The following week, we're going to be relaunching our Cyprus LiveAway program. We've modified the itinerary a little bit to make it even better for our members, and we in fact have changed it into a 2-stop trip as well. We'll be spending 2 weeks in Paphos in the western part of Cyprus, and then 2 weeks in Limassol in a larger town which is on the south coast, which will better enable us to cover more of the country. So I'm excited to bring you back that program. If you're, of course, already booked on our Cyprus trip, we will be having an information seminar, and you'll have gotten emails about that. That's happening this week on Tuesday. And for everyone else, if you're interested in finding out about our LiveAway in Cyprus happening in March 2022, you can join us for the webinar on the 22nd of July. Take care of yourselves. I know there's a lot of information out in the media about what's happening. You know, this pandemic continues to surprise us in positive but also not so positive ways in different parts of the world, including here in Thailand. More on that coming up. And if you're booked with us on our LiveAway in Thailand, I'll be sending an update in the course of the next couple of days to let you know exactly what's going on the ground here. Take care. We'll catch up to you again next week.